Welcome everybody. Blair Maloney, Associate Vice President here at Mentor Collective. Thank you for giving us an hour, give or take, of your day. We're very excited to host you for a fantastic session with one of our phenomenal partner institutions focused on student success in action, building a connection to campus with mentorship. You'll see we have our phenomenal hosts here from the College of Southern Idaho, which we'll do some introductions in a few moments, sharing insights. So thank you again for your time. All right, that's me, Blair. Wonderful to meet you, see you, some of you. Thank you for your time. We're going to kick things off with some introductions from our speakers. We have Jonathan Lord here, the Vice President of Student Affairs and Enrollment Management with the College of Southern Idaho, and Rosa Lopez, Dean of Students for the College of Southern Idaho. I'm going to kick it over to our hosts to introduce themselves in a little bit more depth in a moment. I did want to take a moment just to recognize Rosa for a phenomenal accomplishment as a finalist for the Rising Star Award amongst AACC. So if we can all virtually give a clap or a snap or however we want to celebrate, Rosa, we commend you for all the work you do holistically and also certainly within the mentorship program with Mentor Collective. And with that, I will kick it over to you.
Thank you. I'm Rosa Lopez. I'm the Dean of Students. I've been at CSI for, I'm going on 14 years. So started out here right after high school and kind of built my way up to just in about 2 years ago became the Dean of Students. We have a saying here, once an eagle, always an eagle, and that is true to me.
I love it. And over to John.
Yeah, thank you so much. Jonathan Lord, Vice President of Student Affairs and Enrollment Management. This is also my 14th year at the College of Southern Idaho, but I did graduate high school way before that. I was a high school science teacher prior to that, and then here at the college I've been in a few different roles. I was faculty, and then I was a Dean of Students and, Dean of Instruction, and then oversaw our early college program. Yeah, so excited to speak with you today and excited to talk about our mentoring program.
Yes, fantastic. Thank you both. We are thrilled to have you. With that, just a couple administrative pieces to guide best practices for this experience. You'll see these little notes here. The one thing that I want to drill home on for this audience is if you do have questions, do not feel like you have to wait till the end to ask questions. There's a Q&A section that you can write a question in. I am going to pay attention to that while I also have some of my colleagues and team members here to address questions as we go. Rosa and John and I are all on board with questions coming in throughout the presentation, just so we can make this most relevant for you. And when you see something that sparks something in your mind, we want to be able to address it when it's top of mind. So with that, we'll proceed. Yes, and I got ahead of myself, but we love emojis too. We love any reactions to anything that you're learning about. So please feel free to share and interact and all those fun things to make this a fun session. And again, thank you all so much for your time. I am going to kick us off briefly with a little bit about the landscape of higher education today. I'm going to do this. Some folks who are on here are familiar with Mentor Collective and some are not. We have some partners, we have some emerging partners. So we're going to lay a little bit of a baseline for who we are and a little bit on what we do. And then absolutely get over to Rosa and John because I know who you wish to hear from above all things, but just to paint a little bit of a picture, realities of higher education, shrinking student engagement. We see that, we know this, we're addressing it. Certainly folks in your seat are focused on this on a daily basis, yet we know that the student need is growing. So how do we connect these dots here from what we're learning from research on what these students are wanting and needing? And how does this come into play? Retaining and graduating students, you'll see these metrics from the Titan Partners research shown up here, all top of mind for everybody in the room. Yet all of you are feeling this limited capacity and restrictions within the capacity you have on campus. So how do we play to that as well? When we talk about two institutions, we know that you have incredible resources on campus. You have academic tutoring, you have uh, flagging mechanisms, early alert systems. All these components are in place within a given college or university. But yet, how do students know about these resources and how do you know if they're utilizing them or not? We here at Mentor Collective see ourselves as the missing piece to the puzzle, pulling the student experience together through mentorship with all the resources on campus. And we're going to talk more about this as we go through the presentation. A brief moment on Mentor Collective. We've been here and doing fantastic work for about 10 years. We started, interestingly, serving international students to begin with. Our partner schools came on board and said, well, this is fantastic and our international students are thriving, but all students can benefit from this mentorship that you're providing and the infrastructure you're providing. So we launched, and with the support of the Lumina and Strata Foundation, we now are tasked with serving as many students as possible. We have approximately 200 partners today. We have phenomenal metrics that we're really, really proud of at a high level for all of our partners, while we'll dig in, of course, to our folks on the phone with us today, on the Zoom with us today. So without further ado, I am so excited to share the success story of College of Southern Idaho. And I'm going to take just 10 seconds. I attended NASPA last year. I met with John at a dinner in NASPA, and we had the most wonderful conversation about everything that he was focused on within the college. And as many people are here joining us today, we attend these conferences, we create relationships, we have these interactions, and they continue and grow over time. So it may be just shy of a year later, but here we are presenting together, growing together, and sharing the College of Southern Idaho story with all of you. So without further ado, please take it away, my dear friends.
No problem. I'll start with some of just our basic highlights. So as you can tell, we're actually entering our 60th year of existence as an institution. So we're celebrating 60 years as a college, and that's a huge deal here in our community. We are about 120 miles from any other higher ed institution where we're located. So we serve a lot of rural students, and we have a huge impact in this community. We provide a lot of career and technical education, as you can see. And this year, our undergraduate or our student numbers are really, really good. 44, 43 is all students that are represented in terms of undergrad, 1 and 2 year credit bearing. And then the dual credit numbers are there. That's a little over 60% of our student population. So Idaho's unique in the way we do dual credit, but ultimately we have a lot of students looking to further their education in this region. And one other thing to note, we have a couple of off-campus centers, and one in Jerome and one in Burley. And those are small replications of our institution that try to accomplish our mission in those other areas. So with that, I think we can grab the next slide. These are our students, a little bit of what they do and who they are. As I mentioned, we serve the community college learner, and we exist to serve our community. So we have a large residency population. Most students that come to our institution are from Idaho. We even have on-campus dorms for them to live in and apartments for them to live in. We have nationally competitive athletics programs. But our enrollment is predominantly part-time and predominantly commuter based. So as you look at that first circle there, our gender breakdown is fairly traditional for community colleges across the nation, much heavier on the female aspect than the male. And I think something unique about us, not unique amongst community colleges, but unique here in Southern Idaho, is that we do have a large population of people over the age of 24 attending And so our non-traditional recruiting work has been increasing over the years, and that population has continued to blossom. So yeah, Rosa, I don't know if you have something else you want to add there or not.
The only thing I was gonna add is our mascot is the Golden Eagles. And we pride ourselves on black and gold. So
I love it. I love it. I love it. Perfect. So we're going to dive right in. How does CSI define student success?
I'll start, and then Rosa, you can dive in a little. So for me, in my position, I think student success is really um, a student that's recognizing what they can do and finding pathways to get to that location in their life. We definitely pride ourselves on a little mantra here that we've developed over the years using CSI, so connect, serve, and inspire. And we work really diligently to ensure that everyone that reports on our side of the house and the student side of the house here connects with the learner, make sure that they find some personal connection, life connection to them, serves them, solves the problems that they have right in front of them, and then inspires them to either do more or think differently or push their boundaries. So, but success is unique for every student, and we really try to meet them where they're at. So, with that, I'll hand it off to Rosa.
absolutely, that framework of connect, serve, and inspire is how we have our connection set up between our mentee and our mentors. What I love about defining student success is that it's very unique, like John said, to every single individual. And for me to able to connect with our mentors and our mentees is meeting them where they're at. What are their needs versus the, prescribed, here's what I think they need. It's getting down to that granular level of understanding what is it that they are seeking from their experience here at the College of Southern Idaho? Is it just somebody to listen? Is it somebody to guide? Is it somebody to mentor? Is it somebody that they just need to connect with? And so being able to define for each student that is in our program what their specific needs are and making sure that the mentors or I as their supervisor is getting them to the adequate resources and a simple changing their day, meeting them where they're at is what I would see as success, is connecting with them, engaging with them, getting them to events and activities. All of that for me makes the program, makes what we do a success.
I think something you said there really, really resonated for me, and it's what the student actually needs, what versus what the perceived need is of the student. There's a big difference there. And I think you articulated it quite well. We talked in some of our previous conversations about meeting students where they are, where they're at. What does that mean to you? Because you outlined it so eloquently, and you did today too. But anything else you'd elaborate on there?
Yeah, absolutely. The example that I have is like multiple times we meet, as an institution to discuss, situations that occur on campus. And we are tasked to find the solution or the answer, right? I come back and I meet students right outside my office, and ask them
Yeah.
what the situation at hand is and what their feedback is and what the impact of that decision is going to be on them. And so really getting that feedback, that expertise from the students who are living it day in and day out. It's been a couple years since I graduated, so I'm not at that level, but just being able to ask them and get their feedback helps drive the decisions that are going to impact our students in a more positive way, where they know that their feedback was taken into consideration. And it shows that we truly care when we're including them in our meetings and the decision making of the institution.
I love it. Awesome, awesome. Fantastic. To dig a little bit deeper in terms of the Mentor Collective program, um, tell us a bit about it. How did it begin? What are the goals? Who does it serve? And really back when you started, and why do you continue to? Why do you prioritize mentorship?
Absolutely. So we started mentoring about 4 years ago and we onboarded with Mentor Collective. It's been 2 years now, I believe. And so we did a lot of things manually. We paired mentors and mentees manually. And that was a fun process, but we did not have data at the end of our program to really highlight the why we were doing what we were doing. And so then John brought Mentor Collective to my perspective and said, hey, here's this program that I'm looking at. And John initiated that process. And then I'm the one who executes it day in and day out. And I love it. I don't have to do anything manually. Everything is done through the system, how it matches their mentees and mentors through a matching survey. And then it gives us all the demographics, all the things I need to know about the student in one platform. So that's where it began. It began from scratch, matching every mentor by hand to now we have a system that does that for us, that provides us data and analytics. So love that we have that there. Our goals are simple. Our goals are, like John mentioned, to connect, serve, and inspire the students that we have, to meet them where they're at, to be able to impact each and every single individual that we encounter, whether they stay the entire semester, the entire year in the program, that we're able to just be a little like sunshine in their day to get them to and from, to navigate the resources here on campus. We serve every single student that comes into our institution, whether they're first gen or they are a commuter student or they've been here for 2 years. Anybody who wants to have that connection is welcome into our program. We don't have one set defined student. It's anybody who wants to have a pure mentor or a connection to help support them during their journey here. And why do I prioritize mentorship? I think for me, I have had those mentors throughout my life, and they have all been, interestingly enough, they've all been my supervisors or my bosses, empowering me to do what I do. And to keep me like, hey, you need to do X, Y, Z, because I see this skill set in you, right? Oftentimes we're our own worst critic. And so having that person to kind of highlight the really good things about you that you kind of just downplay. And so for our students, we want to do the exact same thing. Our students are struggling post-COVID. They're trying to navigate what may be new experience for them if this is their first time attending college. And so wanting to make sure that they feel supported from day one when they enter this institution, and they can have a friend, they can have a mentor, they can have whatever they need to make sure they feel comfortable again from day one.
Absolutely. I love your perspective. I always have. John, anything you would add into that?
No, I think that Rosa did a really nice job there. We again, though, just to reiterate, we recognize that in order to have a fluid, meaningful, and measurable mentorship program, we needed training. You provide that training for mentors and mentees. We needed framework that's delivered cleanly through this program. We needed consistency and efficiency, and accessibility on multiple levels, and this program provides all of that to the students. I was just sharing my mentee will be here at noon my time, just a little bit after this session's done today, and he and I have a very specific way that we connect. It's unique. It's just we do it one way, and that's how he prefers it, and that's allowable in this system, which is really nice.
Ah, I love it. I love it. I love it. Fantastic. Thank you. So I know we talked a bit about it, but here you'll see the structure of the program with CSI. So when a new partner comes on board, we talk a bit about what that program's going to look like. Who's the mentee population? Who's the mentor population? What are we looking to accomplish within the program? And this is the example perfectly outlined for CSI. Which has really been wonderful. And then the team that works here with Mentor Collective with CSI is constantly driving at those goals. We are constantly checking in to ensure we are accomplishing what we were set out to accomplish. Anything you would add in on that, Rosa or John, from perspective?
Absolutely. So we first started the program with just wanting to have, so we piloted it with John, me, and our other two deans, and over the summer to see how it would work out. And then we onboarded student leaders, and we were going to keep it just at student leaders, but we soon found ourselves that our faculty and staff really wanted to be involved in helping support our students. So the program right now has Eagle Leads, which is a council paid by student fees to help run the day-to-day mentorship. But we also have quite a bit of faculty, quite a bit of staff that is also mentors. And so they're able to provide a different perspective, more on that professional aspect for those individuals that may want that. I have 5 mentees, John has 1, and that's very strategic because he's really busy. But love the connection that we have, and I'm glad that even though I'm running the program, I'm also in there day in and day out, seeing the struggles that our students are having and troubleshooting with my mentors on how to get the students the resources and connections they need.
That's a great point, Rosa. We're going to talk about that. I want to bring that up because you mentioned seeing the struggles. So how do you see, right? What visibility do you have into that student voice and those issues that are getting that are being brought up? So we'll certainly hone in on that in a few moments. Why and how is Mentor Collective involved in your program?
I kind of alluded to this earlier. We did not have the framework, the training, the data that we needed. It was all done manually. It was done by me taking the students to the different offices to talk about the resources, what we could do there. And so now that we have the program, I know we're going to talk about this a little bit more later on, is everything is facilitated through one dashboard. So I can log in and know where my mentors are at in the process, what communication has happened, have they been able to communicate with their mentors, what are their goals for the mentees. So I can pull data at a couple clicks. I think it's like 2 clicks, so I can just scroll down and find the data. And so that is how Mentor Collective is tied into the mentorship that we do here. And any questions, concerns that I have get answered by our amazing rep, Avis London, who does great at making sure that we're meeting the goals. If we're struggling, she has the tools to get us to where we need to be and provide solutions. And so for me, it's another person to also bounce off ideas, see what's happening at other institutions. Are other institutions having the same successes or the same struggles as I am?
I love it. That is such fantastic perspective. Um, And you did talk about this, which I really appreciate you, and you do keep mentioning this dashboard and this data that you're able to arrive to. So we're certainly going to touch on that in a moment. But just to give the folks on the phone here, Zoom, apologies, a perspective on how we partner. We mentioned how we work through that program design. So we do establish the mentee population, the mentor population. We talk through a whole bunch of different aspects that are going to really customize and tailor the program specific to your college or university. We do the recruitment of the mentors. The institution provides us essentially a list of a mentee population and a mentor population. That's the lift from the university or college. We train the mentors. We go through the training mechanism to get them ramped up on how to use the technology and how to raise flags, which we'll talk about in a little bit. We have a technology that matches mentees and mentors in a nice, concise way, not an Excel spreadsheet where you're doing the manual match, but really focusing on identity alignment that we know has a huge impact on the success of a program. We educate those mentors on campus resources, and we track those metrics. So when we say we track those metrics, we take everything that's happening within the program and we have it in a dashboard that Rosa has referenced. So you can see not only what's happening with the program overarching, but you can drill down to particular cohorts within the program and see their results, their impact compared to the program at large. You can see assessment aspects from the beginning, middle, and end of a program. All of this I'm touching at a very high level, but we can certainly dive in as we go through more. And please feel free to ask questions. flags. So I'm going to touch on this briefly and then I will kick it over to Rosa because she had mentioned this. She mentioned having phenomenal visibility of student issues that are coming up through the mentorship program. So within Mentor Collective, the mentor learns how to raise a flag. So they learn through the training what their role is as a mentor, what their role is not as a mentor. So at that point, at what point should they raise their hand for a flag to say, okay, Blair is really struggling with X and could use some additional support. That then goes over into Rosa's view. She gets alerted immediately on flags that are coming through from the program. Rosa, what else would you add in on that?
Yeah, so when a student sends a flag, I don't necessarily have to be in the platform. It'll send me an email, so I can get access to that pretty quickly. If students or mentors are struggling to connect with their mentees, they can flag it. If the student has expressed that they're wanting to withdraw from the institution, are having financial struggles, academic concerns, mental health, they're able to flag that in the system. I get that notification. I can then get that information, send it over to either our advising center, financial aid, or our counseling center, and have them also reach out to the student while I'm also informing the mentor on, hey, please get them connected here or let them know that they're going to be expecting a call from which department, depending on the situation that they are needing assistance with. Um, and so those flags also help me know how many students are struggling with financial struggles. Do we need to maybe provide an event or an activity to address what those struggles are? How many students we have that may be struggling with counseling? Do we need to revise what we're doing there? Do we need to get counseling in front of students more often? So all of that plays into what I do on a day-to-day basis, because counseling, accessibility services, student activities, housing, rec center are all direct reports to me. And so that is easy connection to get them out to those locations. Again, it really depends on what they're struggling with, but we empower both the student, the mentor to give them that information, but we also have our own departments reach out to the student because we know we've all been students that sometimes asking for help or reaching out is the first step and the most hardest step for our students. So we play it both ways, but that information comes to us immediately. And then in the system, we can flag it as actionable, non-actionable, or resolved. And that way we know if that flag was taken care of.
And one of the things that we do at Mentor Collective in terms of you mentioned Avis, who's phenomenal, who we're meeting with you maybe on a bi-weekly basis once everything is up and running, is we're going through those flags. We're making sure everything has been addressed, and ensuring that students are getting the support that they need. Now, from John's perspective, John, I don't want to speak for you. Well, it's probably from both of your perspective. You're learning where you should perhaps allocate more resources from what is happening within that student voice. John, anything you would add on that front?
Yeah, I mean, first I would just comment that it's really easy to flag, and it's super easy as a mentor to give feedback, highlight things, speak to it more in depth, and submit it. And then also, if I flip around and I look at it from an administrative lens, yeah, we have, as Rosa mentioned, we have the ability to then take information of different levels and pull it into our care team to respond if we need to, and at a moment's notice. So I do really enjoy that. But to your question, Blair, yes, I mean, we have the ability now to make informed decisions based on real data from our real students who are expressing need, or from their mentors who are expressing need. And that does help us shape where we're going to put money, how we're going to put it there, why we would do it, and it makes it easier for me to justify the budgetary requests in the future. So absolutely helpful, very clean and easy.
Blair, I wanted to follow up on what John mentioned with CARE. So that is our campus assessment resource and education. Most institutions have a BIT team. And so we discuss if there's a flag that comes in through Mentor Collective that needs more than just my eyes, that needs, hey, there's something in the classroom that's happening. Is this across the institution? Is it just one solid incident? And we have, John and I sit, we chair that committee. We have HR there. We have a couple instructors, department chairs in there. We have our accessibility services coordinator. So we have a lot of professionals around that table that can help us problem solve. We
Yeah.
meet once a week so we can literally get to that situation within a week or less. We like to respond within 1 day. Flags get responded to immediately. But we're able to really get feedback from multiple individuals on how best to support the student, both from the academic side, but also like the student services aspect.
Sure. Sure. I love that. Thank you for chiming in on that, Rosa. That's extremely helpful because I believe many of the institutions that are on with us today have some version of a care program, right? So to see how this fits into that is probably extremely helpful. Mentorship highlights. So we talk about the data that's captured. We talk about some of how that is demonstrated within the dashboard. Here you'll see just an overarching highlight from a mentor and a mentee and some of the reasons why they've been matched, some of those metrics, just as a demonstration to show that type of data. Rosa, anything you would add here, just in terms
Yes.
of granularity of data? Yes.
Yeah, so Shannon Hyde is actually our accessibility services coordinator. And so she is paired with Sierra Graff. I knew Sierra when she first started at this institution, super quiet, didn't engage a ton. And now anytime I see Sierra, it's hi Rosa, how are you? And that was a struggle for her at the beginning. And so I know with the connection that she has with Shannon, it's been that empowerment to step outside her comfort zone and engage. Before she would just be by herself walking around. So downstairs from where I'm at is our cafeteria, and she would be by herself. And now we see her in a club, a specific club that we have at this institution. And she is participating in their tabling events. She's downstairs with a couple of friends. And so her comfort level has definitely increased. What you see where it says academic, self-seeking score, all of those scores are measured at the beginning, the middle, and the end. So I would love to see at the end if her sense of belonging, which is something we're really striving to do in our program and at this institution, increases. So as you see, there's a little bell on there that's a little low, but we're working with her to get that to be, I think it's out of 5, to be able to increase that. And so that it gives Shannon as a mentor of like, hey, this is where the student is really struggling. Here are some of the hobbies that this student has. So if they're not a Shannon's hobby, she can do some research about those hobbies, but she likes all of those. And so they can also see, right, how many conversations, the common things that they have in interest. And so both of them Sierra can see that information on Shannon. So again, it goes both ways. The mentor can see the mentee's likes, dislikes, hobbies, similarities, and vice versa. So if it's a good pairing, they're off to a good start. If we need to make a change, we can definitely do that. But I think the biggest thing here is that those connections are key. If you can find the similarities with your mentee, you're off to a good start.
Yeah. Phenomenal, Rosa. Thank you for highlighting the assessment because this is a perfect example. This was taken at the beginning of the program, right? So right off the bat, you launch your program and the students participating in the program, you're getting a benchmark for where they are. So to everything to your saying, yes, to see what happens as you go through the program, as the student goes through the program is fantastic. So thank you for highlighting that. Yes, the bell is here within this image. Within the dashboard, you have a little bell that illuminates red when there is a flag, when there is a low rating, etc. So you have a very real pulse check on your students, which is fantastic for institutions.
Absolutely.
What is the impact you've seen peer relationships have on engagement?
So in this particular one, the engagement is those one-on-one connections with students, getting them to get outside of their comfort zone, come to the events and activities that we have planned. So we have programming every Tuesday, every Thursday from 12 to 2. And we love to bring our mentees to those events and activities. One, so they can get to know their mentor more, but also connect them to other students. And so one particular situation here is I have a mentee who we've been using. So Mentor Collective has a text message feature that you can message your mentees with, and that's what I've been doing with mine. Each mentor can choose how they want to be communicated, and mine actually has been via text message, and we actually met up yesterday. Officially met up yesterday, and just that, like, oh my gosh, now I know who you are. I can see you on campus. I can say hi. I know where your office is. You have the snacks. I do have snacks. And so just being able to make that impact and connecting with them, that they know that we're here, that we care for them, that we want to engage them and want to make sure that they're successful. From my mentor's perspective, it's identical, is making sure that students feel heard, students are served, students are connected, and if we can leave that little bit of inspiration for them to take that leap of faith, to take on that additional class, to get involved, and we've done what we've needed to do for engagement.
God, I love that. John, anything from your perspective just on that peer component, the peer relationship component and engagement?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, just every mentee has a slightly different need or set of needs, I guess is a better way to say it. And mine in particular, we spend most of our time talking specifically about pace and staying engaged in class and finding motivation for the work that's ahead of them. And balancing that with all of their other outside of school life challenges. So I think I spend more time learning about and supporting this particular student's familial situations and their interactions in that way than I even do the academic. But through those, the student stays consistent, engaged, regular, in terms of attendance with me and in terms of being part of class. My student has very particular interests and are not, looking to come to a really fun Eagle Hour, but would prefer to sit in my office and speak privately. And so for me, it works out wonderfully, and you're meeting that unique need right there where it's at.
I love that. Thank you. On that note, there has been a question that came in from the audience. The question is how, and just as a reminder, please feel free. It is the Q&A that you can write in a question that I will address. The question is what is the primary way of which mentees and mentors are communicating?
It's text message. Surprise, surprise. Yes, it is text messaging. That is the quickest and easiest way. So we have that going for us, but we're also really striving to meet them face to face. We know the importance of sitting in front of each other and engaging versus being on the phone texting, but that is the real life of our students right now. Like, they would rather be on their phone. But if the cool thing is, in our dashboard, we're able to see their pictures. And so we can identify who they are on campus as well. And so we will try to make that connection face to face, but our students strive and love being on their phone. So text messages, the primary. We do have a couple of students who are strictly just email. But for the most part, I would say 90% of them prefer text message and then email and then face to face.
Love that. Thank you. And just to expand on that ever so slightly, when we say text message, it's through an SMS relay where they're not initially sharing their cell phone numbers, but rather they're sharing it's an anonymous number to start, like your Uber driver number, etc. So that's the way the program starts, and the majority absolutely. But as John mentioned previously, he's meeting with his mentee face to face. So folks can absolutely evolve from the text modality to move into email or face to face, or many do FaceTime or Zoom, etc., of which when they're tracking their messages, that gets recorded. So Rosa and John have visibility to see, okay, there's been an uptick in face-to-face interactions within the program, etc. So great question. Thank you so much for asking. Okay. Whoop. Apologies. Here's a very brief, very, very high level overview of some of the data that we're going to look at for CSI's particular program in terms of numbers of mentees. And again, this is a sliver of the dashboard data. You'll see this mentee participation. Anything before I move on, Rosa, just from the perspective of this particular quote, which we always love quotes, right?
Yes, which there's this one, but there's also a personal experience I had yesterday. My mentee is in Spanish and stats.
Okay.
I can't help her in stats. That's not my expertise. So I got her connected to the tutoring center. But she is in Spanish and she needed Spanish tutoring. And I said, hey, how about we do this? How about you start texting me in what you're learning in Spanish? I can reply in Spanish, but also put it in English so you understand my response and so that you can start getting more comfortable. And she's like, can I do that? I'm like, absolutely. If you have a question, text it to me or come in my office. Happy to chat. And so I think the biggest thing here is like you've got to meet them where they're at and you've got to get creative with how to help them that they may think that they can't access that. Or for her, she was like, I feel like you're too busy. I was like, let me be the one to determine that and I can help you. I can get you connected. And I was like, for my mentees, I'll do what I need to do to make sure that they are successful. But that was like creative way for me to be like, hey, I may not be able to meet with you on a weekly basis, but if you need practice with Spanish, let's do texting. Let's text in Spanish. Let's figure that out so that you get a little bit more comfortable with that. And so on the way out, she told me in Spanish, have a great day. And she's like, did I say that correctly? And I'm like, yes, you did. So just those key things, I think, make the students also feel comfortable, but also as a mentor, is like I was able to help them in a way that I wouldn't have thought about. It was just like a spontaneous, hey, we have this platform through SMS Relay that we can connect over text, which again, that's where our students are wanting to communicate with, but just being able to meet the students where they're at really drives their participation in the program.
I love that. Your anecdotal stories, because we've maybe spoken
I'm
we've
like,
even now you're like, I got one for you. And they always it's just I love you. I think you're absolutely fantastic and I love the work you do with your students. One thing I will say, um, nope, it escaped me. Apologies. So we're gonna continue on to
right there where it asks about 1 week. So students can select whether they want to be contacted once a week, every other week, or once a month. So when the mentors go into the dashboard, they're able to see, does the student want constant communication or do they just want check-ins once a month to see? So it really helps drive how the mentor connects with the mentee.
I think that's such a good point, Rosa. Thank you. You might have just helped me save my thought. When we talk about that matching survey, we talked a lot about identity alignment, but it isn't just that. This is another really important piece here. How often do the mentees want to connect with their mentors, and how often do the mentors want to connect with their mentees? Many times we meet with folks sitting in your seat and they're running their programs and they're saying perhaps they require meeting once a week or twice a week or whatever the cadence may be. We have the research that shows when you put those mandates in place, it actually deters people from the program. So we reacted to that, and allowing for this sync really, really helps. So that was thank you so much, Rosa, for bringing that up in that perspective. So the mentor participation, you can grasp a little bit from the mentees and the mentors here demonstrated the ratios. That's another question that we get often, is how many how many mentees should a mentor have? Rosa, you shared, and John, you shared, but that really does differ from institution to institution in terms of how it's structured. And that gets discussed in that program design. discussion as we're launching the program. But anything from your perspective, John and Rosa, on how you figured that ratio and what works best for you.
Yeah, so I limited John to one. John has one. Our Eagle Leads mentors have 10 because that is what their main role is to do. So they have 10. Our faculty and staff are limited to 3. And that is because they also have their caseload of students they're teaching, or they're working. Like we have some people that are in enrollment services and it's a really busy time for them. They would love to take on more, don't get me wrong. But I also want them to be able to feel like they can do what they need to do and be successful. And so Eagle Leads has 10. I'm open for 10 as well because that's just who I am. But that's the ratio that we have, as students can take on the majority of them. And then we fill in with faculty and staff.
And you mentioned you put that criteria on for faculty. You were able to within the system. Okay, perfect.
Yes. Yeah, and then if I wasn't able to, I would have a rep when she's matching, make sure that we can see like 0 to 3, to be able to just make sure that they don't get more than what they want to take on. Now, if faculty or staff does want to take on more, it's an easy email to our rep to say, hey, please add an additional 2 when we get students in the system.
Perfect.
Yeah, Blair, I'll just say to echo that. Yes, I have one, and I do my best to, and that one is very easy. He's super consistent and reliable. I would, to echo though, I would love to have more, but I need to be consistent. And I do want to highlight though that we love the flexibility, because you may have 10 mentees and 8 of them might be, quite frankly, easy for you to mentor. Whereas another person might have 10 mentees and 9.5 of them are extremely difficult, right? And so there's no one way to slice it. So there is an ebb and flow to that, and sometimes we have to make adjustments, and it's quite easy to do, which is nice.
I think that's a really great point, John, because it's not okay, they get matched and off you go and everything is set. We are constantly looking to get that feedback from you and from Rosa and make those iterations and those tweaks as need be. So I'm glad that's coming across from your perspective. So we talked a lot about the experiences. I do want to highlight just a moment what the mentors do and what the mentees learn. This is really important here. A lot of the research shows that mentors benefit from the program as much, if not more, than the mentees. So this is just some things to highlight. But John and Rosa, from your seat, have you felt that within your program from the mentors participating equally as the mentees?
Yes, that's what I love what we do. I think they teach me some lessons, versus me sometimes teaching them lessons, or walking out with a specific skill set or understanding their story, understanding how we need to structure our resources. And so I think it's mutual in that we learn from as much from our mentees as our mentees learn from our mentors.
Yeah, I'll echo that. I think if I were to use a word, it's empathy. Like so I've been out of the freshman and college game for a long time. So to be reminded of the mindset, the challenges, the hurdles, the concerns, but also to be realistically embedded with them in that step by step, is a wonderful reminder for us, and it's a good empathetic lens for us to get. So even for faculty and staff, like I'll continue to push that for as long as we have a program, because it brings them back to the reality of who they're serving. So back to our connect, serve, and inspire. If you can't, recognize the needs of the people that you're trying to serve, then there's no way to connect with them, and there's surely no way to inspire them. So yeah, for us, it's a huge perk, and allowing our faculty and staff to dive in has been wonderful.
Love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. Um, some more student stories. So this is going to be, I think I just want to highlight that while the technology that we have, the dashboard, shows you the metrics from a quantitative perspective, we're also capturing qualitative, much of which Rosa has spoke to. So from these two, Rosa, anything you would like to add in just on these bits of these bits of stories captured?
Yes. So a lot of these I know who specifically they are, but I wanted to highlight John's mentee. So John's mentee has been with us, I think, since day one. Takes not the full credit load, and that's totally okay.
Mhm.
When we first met John's mentee, he would not walk into our office. He would stand at the frame of the door, and was pretty quiet. And as the years went by, he was connected to a mentor. And he slowly started, he would meet with the mentor outside of the office. And then as the time went by, he started coming in.
Mm.
And he always has these game cards. I don't even know which ones they are because I have no idea about gaming cards at all. Um, but he's became comfortable that he now walks into our office, talks to the students that are in here, shows them what he's doing with his cards, talks about where he's gone to see his dad. And overall, like, I know he lives close to me because he'll tell me, he's like, I live close to you, but I'm not telling you where I live. And has just become super engaged to his comfortability level that we didn't see before. Now, if we don't see him, we know something's off and can be like, hey, what's going on? Because he's consistent. He shows up, he engages with individuals. And so to me, that is a major success. With him, he is on the autism spectrum. So for him to be able to kind of build himself up is like a huge win for me, but also just a huge win for him, and that he now feels comfortable stopping by. He will take now, I believe, what is it iced tea or Mountain Dew? One of the two, Mountain Dew. So John in his fridge has Mountain Dew because he will take that. Before he wouldn't grab anything at all. But I think it's the connection he has with John, the familiarity with the campus, and just know that he's valued and appreciated for who he is goes a really long way. And he's one of the major like success stories that we've been able to like help guide and support and make sure that while we have obviously some requirements, he does things at his pace. Again, the program can be managed and moved to fit the particular student, and that's how we've been able to get him from point A to now where he's at with just who he is as an individual.
You're a constant reminder, both of you, of why we do what we do, and I appreciate you sharing your story. I love that one. I really, really do. Um, as we wrap up, I know we just have a little bit of time left. I believe this might be one of the last questions, but I would love the advice you would give to an institution starting or scaling their own mentorship program. Now, I want to clarify. I want to add something in that's not on this board. I'd say probably eight to nine times out of 10, we speak with an institution. And when we ask, do you have a mentorship program on campus? They say, yes, we have pockets of mentorship. So from starting from nothing to scaling and existing to even overarching programs, what advice would you give to an institution looking to start down this path? And that's a lot, so I apologize.
No, you're good. I would say do it, and here's why. Um, there's not a heavy lift from the institution's perspective. Even from my perspective as being the one who's managing the program on site, a lot of the stuff that I do is connecting with the mentors and making sure that the program is running smoothly. The data is at our fingertips. I don't do anything manual. I literally Mentor Collective does all of that for me in the platform. But you're really able to see your sense of belonging, your engagement, how students are feeling about the institution. You get one-on-one connection with students that provide you real-time feedback on if you're on the right path or you're on the wrong path of the decision you're going to make that's going to impact them. And you're able to provide a different perspective as a mentor, as a mentee. You're able to provide a different perspective that may impact and change that mentor in a positive way, and vice versa. And so if people are wanting to know, like, hey, like, I don't know if I should or shouldn't, like, I don't know what the lift from me, like what I have to put in. I think on a weekly basis, with an hour that we meet for Eagle Eats to discuss how things are going, maybe 30 minutes a week, I'm looking at the data to see where things are at. And then every other week, I meet with our rep, just to make sure that we are on the right path and we're meeting the goals. So it is not a heavy lift, but it helps tell the story of your students in a way that you can articulate that to whoever is wanting to know about the program, your administration, and the impact that it has to have peer-to-peer, but also uh, faculty, staff connections to our actual students.
Yep. I'll add just from I'll just go administrative level. So my advice would be one, get your ducks in a row. Why do you want it? Make sure you can defend the value of mentoring on your campus. How is it going to impact student retention through sense of belonging? Set up a kind of a cost structure breakdown for you. What's it going to look like? How's it going to cost? How do I justify it? Those kinds of things, and get your administrative team on board. I would go with establishing a core group of ready-made mentors. So if you can get some faculty and staff involved, wonderful. Most of these do start out with peer mentors. The mechanism for finding those mentors and supporting them and keeping them engaged is unique at every campus. Some pay, some highly encourage, some do a little bit of guilt tripping, I'm sure. But we try to get those peer mentors in a place where they recognize the value, and then highlight the fact that you're going to get a level set amount of training. So all mentors have the same base level foundational knowledge, and that's huge. That is one of the things that I just couldn't scale up on my own, right? I couldn't get to the point where I could train all mentors the same way, so that I knew that the product opportunity was the same for all my mentees. Those are all things that are wonderful, wonderful results of having a program that's ready, set like this.
Fantastic. I appreciate you both so much. I do believe this is coming to the end of our webinar. We've had phenomenal insights shared from CSI. I cannot thank you both enough for not just sharing your story with the attendees. That's been fantastic, but for every conversation that we get to have, and the reminders of, again, why we do what we do and the impact that we get to have within the work we do. So thank you both. If you are open to it, and I can say for the audience here, if they would like to reach out to you directly with questions, if that's okay with you. And then certainly, folks, please do feel free to reach out to Mentor Collective to address questions and follow-up discussions. But is that okay? Not to put you on the spot, although I just did. Um, is that okay with you, John and Rose?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yep.
Awesome. And then you will see a poll that just popped up, so please take a moment to respond to that. But for everybody here, thank you for taking the time. I really enjoy the questions that came through, and we're looking for the next time that we get to meet. And for those that will be in NASPA in March, I will see you there with the one and only Jonathan Lord. Rosa, are you attending?
Yes, I'll be there.
Yes, we get to meet. It's going to be so much fun. I'll plant the seed. We're going to have a dinner. You're all invited. There's your invite. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your day and have a wonderful week. Thank you for your time. Take care.